Hi guys, welcome. This is Faizan from Great Learning. Before we start, can you guys please give me a confirmation if you are able to hear me clearly or not? Just write a yes. In the meantime, you can also check the Great Learning Academy, right? It's an initiative started by Great Learning. So you guys can check. There are 80 plus courses available for free for a limited amount of time. So you guys can check in. Okay. And in the meantime, also maybe we can just start with a fun question, right? Till the time that other guys can join us. So if you can see, when I type in searching something in Google, right? For example, let's say HTML, right? We're talking about HTML. Let's try to see run this, and can you please guys tell me where do this text come from? Where does this text come from? Just quickly write in the chat section till the time other guys can join us. Where do this thing come from? Okay, there's a lot of disturbance. Okay, yes, yeah. So can you please tell me where does this text come from? In the meantime, we will wait for other guys to join, right? So you guys can tell me quickly so that we can start with the session. Okay, just write anything, right? Where does this text come from? Okay, I don't see any answers. Quickly guys, just give me any answer. You don't have to be right, just whatever you think. Okay, is the voice clear now? Yes, civil engineering student can attend this session. Vocalist sing, can you hear me now properly so that we can get started? Server, okay, Durga Prasad says server. Any more answers? Yes, very much clear now. Okay, cool. Okay, what is the question? The question was, whenever I search something in the Google, there's a text that comes up. Where does this link come from? Or the text that shows up in the Google search, where does that come from? How long is the session? Session will be for approximately 45 to 50 minutes. Then we will see if you guys have any questions so that we can get started. So let's get started, okay guys? So I don't see any answer. There was only one Durga Prasad saying server. So server is not the right answer. So we will check where does this text come from. So let's get started. SEO. Okay, Rohit Yadav, let's start the session now. Okay, so this session is for beginners, and we are talking about right now we will be covering HTML and its basics. Okay, now let's get started. So let's talk about this table of content or the agenda that is going to be covered in this session. In this session, we are going to cover what is HTML, features of HTML, which HTML editor should we use, okay, HTML skeleton, comments, HTML elements, basic tags, and then finally we will conclude our session with attributes. Okay, so what does HTML stands for? Okay, HTML stands for hypertext markup language. Before, there was no CSS and there was no JavaScript. This was the only way with which we can interact with the browser. Okay, there was nothing more than that. It was just HTML and that's it. No CSS was there, so we used to do CSS, some kind of styling in our HTML web page. So basically HTML is nothing but how you define a web page. Okay, the look and feel of the web page, how it looks, how you to display the contents with the help of elements. We will be covering what is the HTML. Okay, then it is a language to create web pages. Okay, the web page that you see, anything that you see on your web browser, basically this is when I try to search something, you saw some kind of a structure. So that structure is given by HTML. Okay, and then we will add some CSS, some JavaScript to it. So that's another thing. Okay, so hypertext stands for link between web page. So now when we try to click on some link, you see there's a shift from one link to another link, right? You see when we try to click on something, so it moves from one page to another. So that moving from one page to another is a link which is done by this HTML, right? Okay, it forms and defines the structure of the page, right? We saw that structure that the earlier when I tried to search something, you saw some kind of structure, right? There were links, there were some ads coming on, right? There were some header, some footer. All these structure is given to a web page is given by HTML, right? Now, if we are trying to do something in HTML, the extension that we have to use is .html, right? To tell the browser that this is an HTML, or to save this file, and then the browser will know that, okay, this is an HTML file. I have to render it this way, okay, or that way, right? So this is all about HTML. We'll get into the details, right? This is what this session is all about, right? Okay, cool. You understand me, right? So now let's see what are the features of HTML, okay? The learning curve is very easy. What do you mean by this thing? So if you can see, once we will complete this session, all that you need to know or that you must know about HTML will be cleared, okay? There is nothing more than this, okay? It's a 50-hour session, and that once you are done with this session, it will be clear, okay? So what are elements, what are the different attributes, all these things will be easily clear, okay? So the learning curve is very easy, okay? So creating effective presentations, for example, if you want to create something, or you might have heard about, so whenever the PhD student does some research, so he has to create a paper, right? That paper also is created with the help of this HTML, right? He used bold, he used this all kind of structure that we will study in this session. He will use this thing, okay? Adding links wherein we can add references, like in our PhD, when we talk about research, right, there is some references that I got this thing from that, so you can add references, you can add links to that page easily with the help of this HTML, okay? Can display documents on platforms, like, so it is if you want to do HTML, it can be done on a Mac, on a Windows, and on a Linux, okay? So displaying documents on these platforms is also easy. Adding new every time HTML is updating itself, right? We had HTML, then we have HTML5 right now, okay? So all these versions keep updating this HTML, okay? So we can add videos, graphics, okay, all those things, right? Audios, making it more attractive, right? If you have a website, right? If you have a website and you added some audio or some graphics, okay, or some videos, in fact, so it will make your website more attractive, right? So everything you write, it is case insensitive language, right? What do you mean by this thing? If you write something, or if you write something, for example, when we talk about some paragraph tag, okay, by mistake you have written P capital, okay, so it doesn't depend on that, okay? Even if the paragraph tag is, I mean to say, the convention is that you will use a lowercase letter, right? So but if you forgot, or if somehow you put a uppercase letter, it will still work, okay? This is all about the features of HTML. There are many more features, but these are the main things, right? The learning curve, creating effective presentations, adding links, displaying platforms on Mac, Windows, and all those things, adding video graphics, right? Video graphics and audios and all those things. So now let's talk about which HTML editor should you use, okay? So basically right now I will give you a suggestion that if you don't want to download anything, right, you can use Notepad or Notepad++. Basically you have to download the Notepad++ as well, okay? If you're not willing to download anything, you can use Notepad, okay? We will use that thing only, okay? We will use the editor that right now we are using will be a Sublime Text. You see how easy it is to code anything in the Sublime Text, right? With the help of just one tab or one key press, we will be able to get all the structure or all the skeleton of the HTML page, okay? So Atom is another there, Visual Studio is also there, okay? These are all editors that you can use. But if you want to learn and you are learning it from scratch, I would recommend you that you will use Notepad++. Or if you want to study it real quick, I mean to say quickly you want to study quickly, so without memorizing anything, so the Sublime Text is also there. I will be using Sublime Text, okay? Cool guys, these are all the editors. Now let's talk about HTML skeleton, right? What are the things? The important part regarding this skeleton is that this will always be there, okay? No matter what the structure of your web pages, if you're creating an app or a website, everything around the web browser, I mean to say over the internet, this skeleton is very important. It will always be there, right? This Doctype HTML, always, okay? And it always remains same, okay? Even if if we talk about the skeleton, there are two things, right? It will always be present and it will always be in the same format. I mean to say, there will be this the Doctype HTML. We will talk about these things, what they mean exactly. So there will be one HTML tag, one head tag, one body tag, and there can be many more tags, but this structure will remain static and this will always be present there. Okay, this is the main thing regarding this. Okay, now let's talk about what does this Doctype HTML means. Okay, this is the instruction to a browser about the HTML version, right? What do you mean by this thing? This is the thing that browser will know, how browser will know that this, which version of HTML is this. Okay, with the help of this Doctype HTML, the browser will know that this is an HTML5. Okay, right now we are using HTML5, so this Doctype HTML will render or inform the browser that this is the HTML5 version that the user is using, so please render it in such a fashion. Okay, cool guys. So then there is an HTML tag. Okay, the HTML tag is the root element, right? If you don't understand this element, no worries, I will cover this thing. Okay, so this is the root element, right, which acts as a container to hold all your code. If you can see this HTML, everything that is, except for the Doctype HTML, everything that is inside this HTML is this HTML tag, everything is inside this HTML tag, if you can see, right? So this is the root element and it acts as a container to hold all the code, right? It seems obvious, right? Browser should know that this is an HTML document. So with the help of this thing, browser will also know that this is an HTML document. What is a permitted content? What content can we write? There is always a head tag followed by a body tag. Okay, these are the two things, right? This is important, guys, right? So there will be always one head tag followed by one body tag. Okay, what is the head tag? Basically everything that you write in your head tag will never be displayed in the browser. Okay, this adds to the information. This is getting it contains general information about the document, right? What are the general information? What is the title? If you want to link your CSS file with the HTML, right, you can use those links in it. If you want to add some JavaScript to it, right? So all these links, all these metadata, what you call, what do you mean by metadata? It's basically information about the document, right? This document was written by this guy, the title of this document is this. These things will never be displayed in your web browser. Okay, right? So if you can see, the head tag will always contain information, the general information about the document. Okay, now the HTML is covered, head tag is covered, right? Doctype HTML, we know it, right? So what do you mean, what does the body contain? If you can refer to this image again, right? So this slide, it represents something, right? So I have covered HTML and the head tag. Title tag, we will talk about it later on the in the slides or later on this course. Okay guys, so now let's talk about body tag. Basically everything, it is just opposite to our head tag. Everything that we write in a HTML page, right, or in a HTML document, whatever we write in this body will be displayed in the browser. Okay, it's opposite to our head tag. Whatever we wrote in head tag will never be displayed, but whatever we wrote in this body tag will always be displayed on the browser. Okay, it contains text, images, links, which can be achieved through tags. We'll talk about tags, elements and attributes, right? Those things will be covered later on this in this session. Okay, so for example, if we talk about what are the examples, like what can we write inside this? Okay, what can we write inside the body tag? Right? We can write a paragraphs, right? This is our first paragraph. Then we can add some links, right? Ahref is the thing with which we can add some links to our page. Okay, then we will we will say that click here and go to the Google. That can be also done, right? We can add images, right? We have to just provide the source and that's it. So everything that we, in a nutshell, everything we write in our body tag is just that comes under body tag, right? So before we start, let me show you something. Okay guys, just give me a second. Where is it? Sublime. Okay, now this is the Sublime Text. Now let's see how to achieve this folder, I mean to say this, the skeleton of HTML. First you need to save the file, right? I'm using, I told you earlier that I'm going to use the Sublime Text. Okay, so let's call it first.html. okay, right? Our file has been saved. Now if you just write in the Sublime Text, you will just write HTML and then press a tab. You see when you press a tab, right, there is a skeleton. It comes automatically, right? You don't have to write everything, or you don't have to remember everything. That's why I told you that if you are willing to download something, you rather download Sublime Text. It's the best editor according to me. Okay, you just wrote HTML, right, and then press a tab, everything came up, right? So then there is a title blinking. This title is blinking here. Right now I'm not covering this title. Okay, we will cover it later on this section. Okay, this has a very there's a significance to what we write in the title. Where does it show, right? This is having a lot of significance. So now before getting into the title tag, let's see what can we write inside a body tag. So I told you whatever we write in this body tag will be displayed. So let's write something. So rather than writing something gibberish, right, if you write something this thing, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so you can also use this thing that you just write lorem all in small and then press a tab, right? This is the automatic text that comes up. Okay, lorem, and that's it. And then we close our paragraph tag. That's it. Now let's save this file and let's try to run this thing. That's it. We just wrote lorem, we wrote a paragraph, and that's it. Now let's try to see where it is. Okay, let's see, it will be in the desktop, right? On the desktop, let's go on the desktop. Okay, is it first? Just double click on it and the page will be opened in the Google. Okay, we will write to have English. That's it. Okay, you see now the page that we have here is the thing how we can render something on the browser. So whatever we wrote in that HTML page and we wrote a paragraph tag, right, this is the thing that we got on the browser, right? So if you see, this is how we run we just run our first HTML page and this is showing on the browser, right? Just double click on that wherever we have saved this, and that was it. Okay, you want a zoom, please? Okay, sure. I will zoom the text editor when I'm going to use it. Okay, and now it's done. Okay, now let's talk about how to write comments. Okay, so the comments is something that doesn't render on the browser. Okay, this is something that you write. For example, you have been stuck on something, right, for a while now, maybe for half an hour or maybe an hour. So rather than writing it on your, in your diary or anything, right, like that, so you want to remember that this was the thing that I got stuck here. So how can you use it, and so that you will have a clear idea that this was the thing and I got stuck here. So therein it will help you as well as whenever you are sending someone your code. Okay, you are sending someone that please check this code, I wrote this thing. So how would he know that what is the thing that you are trying to do? So basically comment comes as a savior. Okay, so you can, inside a comment you can write, okay, I got this I just got stuck here. Okay, you will write something, maybe I got stuck here, then I do this, then I did that. Okay, so this will help you in that thing. Basically it will help you understand your code better, and also as well as it will make someone read your code. Okay, when someone is reading your code, it makes it readable, right? If you have seen any documents, right, or you have read articles, right, you can see some always whenever they refer to the code, they will always say that this is a driver function, that this is the method that I'm using to swap the elements, right? So these comments are really important. Okay, whenever you are trying to debug also your code, these comments will help you. Okay, so there are 3 ways with which we can comment. Okay, so what about VS Code? I use code for HTML and CSS. Yes, you can use this Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. You can use that as well, Priya. Yeah. So the thing is that there are 3 ways to comment. Okay. So the single line, wherein you will just write in a single line. For example, I will show you this thing, and the multiple line. For example, you are trying to comment multiple lines. Okay. You can also use this comment as a, if you want something, okay, for example, you want this part of code, this is redundant, that is, this is repeating. So you want this code to be removed. Rather than removing it, right? So rather than removing it, if you write something in the comment, so it will not be rendered, right? So you can use that thing. Okay, this was what I was doing earlier, then I removed this. Rather than removing it, you can also put all those things in a comment, so they will not be rendered, and you will also get an idea that, okay, yeah, this was the thing I was doing, and this is not what I have to do in future. Okay, so then there is another tag, that is the comment tag, which is only supported by Internet Explorer. So you should know this, but you don't want to use this. Okay, so the everything that I'm doing here, I'm rendering it on the browser, and the browser that I'm using is Google Chrome, right? So if you want, you can also use comment tag to write the comments. Okay, now I was talking about these elements, right? Elements, tags. What are these elements? Okay, so basically, if you have seen that I wrote a paragraph, right? The lorem paragraph, right? If you can see that that is an element. Okay, elements are created using tags. So what are these tags? We will cover it. First, we will talk about this element thing, right? Elements are used to define semantics. What do you mean by semantics? Basically, semantic means meaning, right? So you want in your paragraph, in your browser, you want some paragraph, right? So you want some paragraph, right? So if you now, how to render that paragraph in your browser? Okay, so basically for that we have a paragraph tag. Okay, you see the meaning that for paragraph you have a paragraph tag. For if you want something to be bold, there is a bold tag, which was changed to something else. I will come to that as well. So okay, if you want some italic text, again there's an I tag, now replaced by what? So that tag has been replaced by emphasis tag, right? So the reason behind that, why these tags were replaced, I will also cover that thing. Okay, so now okay, Zuhaib says which video? So Zuhaib, which video are you referring to? Just give me some idea about it. Okay, so now this can be nested. We will see what do you mean by nested element on all those things. Okay, so the basic structure. Okay guys, if you have any confusion regarding the things that I'm teaching and which the things that I have already covered, please write in the chat section. Okay, so now the basic structure of HTML. The basic structure is that if you see that there is a paragraph, right? Paragraph, then a color thing, then something written red, then this is the first paragraph. Forget about that color thing. Okay, whatever is written, basically it is an attribute. We will cover it in the end. Okay, cool. Forget about this thing. Okay, so the basic structure is that you have a tag, right? This is a tag, paragraph tag, right? You have a starting tag, you have a start tag P, and the end tag, right? End tag is written optional, right? Why is it written? I will also cover it. Okay, so let's focus on the basic structure, that is starting tag, attribute, end tag, and the content. That's it. This is what you mean by HTML element in a nutshell. Okay, if you can see, let me show you. Where is it? Yeah, if you can see, if I have written something here, right, you can just write P and then press a tab again. Sublime will just give you the closing tag and the starting tag. Okay, so if you write, this is just a minute, this is my first paragraph. Okay, right, then save this file and then just open your Google Chrome and then press enter. There you see, this is my first paragraph. You see, this is our HTML. Okay, HTML element. Okay, now let's go ahead and continue. Yeah, okay, now this is the HTML element. Now let's see. Okay, I will zoom it guys. The video YouTube I don't understand what you mean. Maybe I will get back to you, Zuhaib, later. Okay, yeah, now the element types. Okay, so now we have covered elements, right? What are elements? Okay, now let's see what are the types of elements. Okay, so there are some elements which are block level. What do you mean by block level? So basically it takes up the whole block or width and adds structure in the web page. So basically when we talk about something which is block level, okay, so the block level will take up whatever is the resolution of your screen. It will take up the whole width, okay, and the height which is required for it to display the content that is in it. Okay, but it will take a whole block. I will show you. It always starts from the new line, which listen to these statements very carefully. It always starts from the new line and ends before the new line. Okay, so basically whatever we wrote in that paragraph tag, if you can just quickly see, when I try to render, you see the lorem thing, right? It took up the whole block, right? It took up the whole width of this page, right? The resolution that of the system is the width of the system is, it took up the whole block, right? And then if you see, this is my first paragraph, it also took the whole block, right? Whole width, right? And the height is that of the lorem paragraph, it took whatever it required. Okay, for example, let me show you one quick thing. You see, even if I just, I'm zooming it, is this now visible, guys? I have zoomed it a little bit. So even if I just removed these spaces and all the new line, I wrote these two paragraphs together, right? Without any, without putting a new line between them. I just put those two paragraphs together. What do you think? Let's save this file. What do you think? Will it affect our, the result or the web browser in which we are rendering this thing? Will it affect that? Just quickly write yes or no. Will it affect that thing? I already told you that this thing, whatever we are writing inside the paragraph tag, this is something what we call as block level elements. Will it affect our end or the output? Will it affect our output? Just quickly write yes or no. That's it. Y and N. I don't want anything else. No. No. What do you mean by no detailed answer? Okay, just yes or no. Will it affect whatever we write in our browser? Quickly, guys. Yes, now visible. Okay, cool. Arbaj. Okay. Mansi says yes. S. Okay. Yes. No. Okay, just quickly. Now let's run this. Now we got some answers. So some says no, some say yes. So let's save this file. You see, now if we run this thing, now let's refresh this thing. You see, when I run this thing, you see there is no effect. Why? Because both the paragraph tags are block level elements. You see the difference. Backpack dreamer, it's not, it won't affect anything because both of these elements are block level, so they will take up the entire width of the browser, right? So that's why. Cool. Now let's go back. So you have an idea what a block level element means. So similarly, we have different block level elements. What? The div. So the div tag and span tags are very important when we talk about HTML, but they won't seem much effective right now because when we talk about these div tags and span tags, when we try to style our page, at that time these tags are very effective. For example, we have another block level elements that are h1 to h6. Basically these are nothing but if you want to show that this is the most important line of our page, okay, that the lines that you have written on your page, right? So these are the lines which are most important on your web page. So how would you represent it? Basically h1 comes as in savior, right? So h1 represents the most important line on your page, and h6 represents the least important line on your page. Let me show you quickly how does this thing work. Okay, so yeah, so again these are block level elements. Even if I write something, okay, even if I write h1 here, then I wrote h2 here, okay, does this affect? No, this won't affect anything, right? Because these are all block level elements. Okay, so in this head 1, let's suppose we wrote my name is ABC. Okay, then let's copy this thing. You see how the text will decrease or the font size will decrease when we use this thing inside. Okay, just give me a second. Control Z. Inside h1 and h2, let's break this because it's not it might not be more readable. Okay, so this is my name is ABC, my name is ABC, okay, and then so on to, let's see, now let's try to write h6. Now somehow I deleted all those spaces, and I have written all these elements in a single line. Okay, so now when I try to run this thing, okay, I've saved this file and then I went to my browser and then I just clicked here. You see the most important line, and Again, these are all block level elements. So even if I wrote these things in a single line, that doesn't mean to say that won't affect my output of the page, right? Or the things that I want to render on the browser. You see, the most important line is represented by H1 and the least important line on the web page is represented by H6. Okay, you got the point, right? Cool. Now let's continue again to the HTML. Okay, so the types is clear. So this is the block level. And what are the other block levels? The ordered list and unordered list. Okay, so these are all block level elements. Cool. Now what are some inline elements, right, which come in a single line, which takes up whatever it requires. What do you mean by this thing? Whatever the space that is required by these tags, they will take that thing only, and without rendering it to the new line. It always starts from where the previous element ended. Okay, you see the difference between these inline and block level elements. They will always start from the new line, and these elements will always start from where the previous element has ended. Okay, now let's quickly go ahead and check these image, some of the image. So for example, if I wrote something here, okay, and forget it, okay, I will write something here. So I will make this a span tag. Okay, what do you mean by this span tag? I will cover it later, but right now we are focusing on the block level elements. Okay, I wrote span here. Okay, so had it been an element which is block level, this will shift all the elements, right? If, for example, let's run this thing without any, and also make this thing some bold. Okay, let's make this thing strong. Okay, just copy this text. Okay, go it does it here, copy this text and just remove this thing. Okay, that's it. So what I have written, this is a nested element, right? Inside a span tag there is a strong tag. Okay, so these two things, right? What do you think will be the output? Will it be on the new line or will it be on the same line? What are the effects that will take place? Let me show you once, and then I will ask something from you guys. Let's run this. Did we save this file? Let me quickly go ahead and check that. Okay, no, the file has not been saved. How would I know that if the file has been saved? Inside the Sublime Text, if you can see my pointer, if you can see the pointer, I am pointing to this first.html, wherein this user Fazan desktop first.html came up. If it is not saved, there will be a circle. Okay, now if it is saved, there will be a cross sign. Okay, now let's go back and run this thing. Okay, now you see the bold text that I wrote, that ULLAMCO, right? This is some gibberish text, right? You don't have to worry about that text. Okay, so that has been done. The formatting has been done in such a way that it has bold text, right? And it didn't reflected as an what? It didn't reflected as a what? As a new or a new line, right? It's not a block level element. Okay, it's an, what do you call as an inline element. Okay, now let's quickly replace this thing. Okay, now we have seen span and the strong, right? What if I told you that div is a block level element, right, and span is an inline element? What if I wrote something div here? Okay, I wrote div here. What will be the output? Will it be same as previous, what we got previously? Guys, quickly just say yes or no. Will it be same? I just wrote what, div instead of span. Will the output will be same or not? Quickly guys, give me a yes or no so that we can move ahead and check other features. Okay, okay, no, yeah, you are right guys. So now if we move back to this, where is it in the browser? You see this is the output that we got earlier. Now right now when I press refresh, you see it got shifted to the new line, right, as predicted. This was the predicted output, right? Yeah, Sublime Text is more user friendly than Dreamweaver, and in Dreamweaver you don't have to write anything. You basically you won't be able to learn something in a Dreamweaver. It's basically a drag and drop tool. right? So you see ULAMCO, whatever the text address is, has been shifted to the new line, right? Cool. So now let's quickly go ahead and check the things. So inline elements done, block level elements done. So similarly we have emphasis tag, strong tag, image tag. We will be covering these things, and the anchor tag. We have all these tags are inline. Okay, got the point, right? Now we talked about these tags more often than not, right? So the tags, this tag, that tag. Now let's talk about basic tags, some of the basic tags. Always whenever we talk about a tag, it will be enclosed within these greater than sign and less than sign, right? This sign will always be there. Okay, now different tags render different meaning. What do you mean by this thing? You see, we saw heading, the most important thing on the page, right? We saw paragraph. This is a paragraph, right? It was shown in a paragraph, right? We saw strong, it bolded our text. We will see emphasis tag, it will make it the font will be italic, right? So these all tags render different meanings, right? There are no tags which do the same thing, right? Okay, we got the point that different tags render different meanings. Okay, that's the main objective here. Okay, now we haven't covered what. So far we have covered everything regarding the basic skeleton, right? The HTML, the head tag, the body tag. We haven't covered the title tag. When I started my lecture, I told you where does this thing come from, right? The thing that text came up, where does this thing come up from? Basically, with the help of this title tag, whatever we search in Google or whatever we search on our search engine, right? That text comes up with the help of this title tag. I will show you, don't worry. Okay, this title tag also comes up in the web page tab button, the tab which is open in front. I will show you which I will be opening. The tab which is above, right? It will be having the same name whatever we wrote in the title. Okay, for example, you see when you shift across the browsers, right, or the links, therein you will get in the home button, then the about us, then the contact us. All these changes will be rendered on your tab. Let me quickly show you the title tag. This is very important. I told you guys the question in the starting. Okay, for example, first let's see what is the title right now. You see here it shows local or shared file, right? It shows first.html. Okay, now I don't want this thing. I will write some maybe home page, right? I will write home page in the title and it will be reflected. Okay, home. Let's write home. Save this file. No. Okay, save this file. Done. And you see it will be changed. Just see. You see home. And now let's check the question that I gave you, right? For example, I'm searching for HTML, right? So whatever is written here, let's open it. Okay, now do an inspect. What was the title? It was showing HTML tutorial. Now let's see, is this showing the same thing? You will go in the head section. Okay, I will zoom it a little bit. Okay, you see there is a title HTML tutorial. You see here, you can see whenever I right clicked on the page, then I went into the inspect. Okay, right, you see the title is HTML tutorial. Okay, now if I will go back and let's close this thing, you see the HTML tutorial thing that came up from this thing. Okay, right, and when I clicked upon this thing, it came up here as an HTML tutorial thing. So this is the thing, everything that we search will come up with the help of this title tag, not the SEO, not the server. This is all HTML. Okay, HTML is also becoming popular because right now React is on a boom, right? Everything that we do is React based. So React is also using JSX code, which is basically, if in a layman's term, if we call that thing the HTML, right? We will render HTML tags on the browser. So HTML is becoming more important, and there is no, alternative, right, of HTML. And it's not that this as a very you will learn this thing within months. This is nothing. You will learn this thing within a week or maybe within an hour, right? Then you have to keep practicing it. That's it. Okay, so sir, where to submit HTML assignments in the GL course? I will get back to you, Mansi, and maybe I will tell the team to give you the right answer. I don't even know. Okay, sir, give me some sessions on WordPress as well. Yeah, Priya, we will cover that thing as well, maybe in future sessions. Okay, so you got the point, right? Everyone who gave the answer in the starting when we started our lecture, right? This HTML tag will help us do that thing. We covered paragraph tag, right? We defined a paragraph, then we covered all those things, right? The syntax of the paragraph you know already. Okay, now these basic tags are covered. Now what are some self-closing tags, right? I told you the element structure, right? The starting tag and the end tag. Now there's a thing, right? There are some tags which doesn't have what, an end tag. What do you mean by this thing? Let me quickly show you. So we have this thing right here. You can see it, right, guys? So we have, what do you mean by H? So basically, let's put a break line between these tags. Okay, these tags. Okay, you see, let's put a new line. Okay, break row, new line. New line. These are all self-closing. You see, the H1 and H6. These are all not self-closing tags. We have to explicitly close these tags, right? So BR tags, HR tags, and now if I wrote something here, an HR, right? Horizontal row, there will be a division between the screens. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so there will be division on the screens. Okay, now the HR tag is done. Now if I wrote some paragraph here also, okay, let's write something gibberish and then close our tag. Let's save this file. Now you see the changes. Now this is the page what we had earlier. You see, between the head tag and this is my first para, there is not a lot of gap, right? And there is no horizontal row which divides the paragraph which we just defined. Okay, now let's refresh this page. You see, between the first paragraph and first heading of the page, there is a huge gap between this thing. Okay, and also between the H6 tag, that is the least important line on a page, there's also a horizontal row, and then there's another paragraph. You see, these are all Zuhaib, no, Zuhaib, maybe in future we will be taking sessions in Hindi as well. There is no certification for this session. No, Richa. Maybe you can, if you want a certification or if you want some of the courses, there is also an initiative that GL started, the Great Learning has started, the GL Academy. Therein you can have many more certifications. I'm not sure if they have something. I mean, I'm not sure what are the if they have something regarding HTML, or they have something I know about AI, machine learning, data science. Maybe it's not always about the certification, right? You can also study from these live lectures and implement these things. Okay, sir, B tag, use both bold and bracket. B tag, yeah, because B tag use both bold and the bracket. I'm not sure what you are trying to say, Subhasis. Yeah, so this is the thing, right? These are self-closing tags, right? We didn't close these tags. So the bold tag, basically bold tag is something which is not self-closing. So if I wrote B here and press a tab, it's a self-closing. It's not a self-closing tag. Whatever we wrote here will be bold. If that might give answer to your question. So whatever we wrote in this tag, it's an inline tag. So whatever we wrote here, it came bold, right? Cool. So now let's move quickly. Okay, now these are some self-closing tags. Image tag is there, which is used to add images in your web page. Okay, so the tags H1 to H6, these are some of the tags which are not self-closing. Okay, these H1 tag to H6 tag. Okay, so H1 stands for the heading tag, defines the heading of the page, right? The most important, the least important, strong tag has been already covered. Now, why is there a replacement for B tag, right? Subhasis Sao says the B tag, and because earlier we didn't have any CSS, right? CSS came, I don't know when it came, maybe in about 1995 or maybe the 1999. So earlier, prior to that, there was only HTML, right? So to add some style, what we did, what we used to do in our HTML, we used to do these things, these tiny little things that we were able to bold our text, we will write our text in italic fashion. These were all the things that we. So now with HTML5, right? So with now with HTML5, what it replaced these bold tags and the I tag, that is the italic tag, and replaced it with the strong tag and emphasis tag. Basically, these two tags will do the same thing, but strong means something that is more meaningful, right? It adds to the meaning of that line, that this text represents something. This is important, so that's why we are putting it in a bold. Rather than bold, it refers to style. You see the difference this HTML5 did. So basically, right now, everything that we write in our HTML page, we write only HTML thing, right? We don't write CSS in our HTML page. That's a very bad practice. We have to follow a separation of concerns. What do you mean by that thing? So basically, if there is a thing, there is a CSS in your HTML5, there is a JavaScript in your file, right? What you can do, we'll just separate our concerns, right? So we will put CSS in a different file, HTML in a different file, and JavaScript in a different file. Keeping that in mind, HTML5 removed or replaced this p tag. You can use it, but it's not a good practice. It is deprecated and it's kind of an obsolete thing, right? Don't use these tags, right? The strong tag and the emphasis tag. Similarly, emphasis tag is something that you are putting some emphasis on this line or this text, right? If you can see, if you wrote something in your article, that's something which is not heard by someone, for example, such a word, so you can put it italic and later on refer to that thing. This is a very special text and the meaning of that text, right? So you see, italic tag refers to style and emphasis refers to the meaning of that word, right? Meaning and word, these are two different things. Priya says HR tag. So HR tag is nothing, it's a self-closing tag which puts a horizontal row on your web page. That's it. Now let's talk about these OL tags, the ordered list and the unordered list. So basically, for example, if you're trying to implement something, for example, let's say you want to make a tea, right? So there's a proper structure to it, right? First you will go into the kitchen, then you will wash the utensil, then you put some milk in it, you will put on the gas. There are a series of events that has to take place, right, in some particular order. So at that time you can use an ordered list. Now let's say I told you, tell me about your hobbies, okay? So at that time there is no order to it, right? You can write in anything, right? You can write I love to play cricket, football, hockey, maybe some snooker, okay? So all these things have no structure in it, right? So this is the difference between an ordered list and unordered list, and how you place an item in these ordered list and unordered list with the help of list tag or the li tag. Basically, it defines those items. Okay, it defines the item that you're using. So, for example, if you're using this making a tea, that it will place a 1, 2, 3 on it, and all those things that are written in these li tags will be rendered by this thing. Now let me show you quickly now an ul tag looks like. Okay, just a minute. So you will write ol tag ordered list, right? Let's keep it simple. Let's write an unordered list. Similarly, you can follow the another thing. Okay, so you will close this thing, done. And how you place an item in this, let's suppose li, let's suppose give me your hobbies, let's say cricket. Okay, done. Let's suppose li, let's suppose dancing. Okay, now li, let's suppose cooking. Okay, cool guys. Now let's save this file and see how it will affect our page. We save this file and then we run this file. You see, there's cricket, dancing and cooking. Okay, so these are the things that with which we can write an unordered list or an ordered list. Okay, similarly you can apply the ordered list as well. So now let's try to quickly implement an image tag. So let me go ahead and pick an image from this thing. Okay, Okay, let's say cat images. Okay, so now let's quickly go ahead and pick some image. Okay, this seems to be quite cute cat, and let's open this thing. Okay, forget it. So let's copy its address, image address, whatever is the image address, and then we'll go back in our code. Now let's try to implement this thing. Image tag, then the source. We copied the source. This is the source of the file. Okay, the image, right? Now what if somehow your image didn't load? Okay, so there was an error. For that we need these things. I will cover these things later, but for now, what do we write? We write alt equal to let's suppose image not available n/a. Okay, then I will also use another property which is title. Okay, then let's say cat, cute cat. Okay, now let me show you some of these things. What are these? Alt and source, and these are all attributes. We will cover it in the end. Now for now, let's talk about the image tag. Okay, so image tag is also a self-closing tag. Okay, now let's see first the output, then we will talk about all these things. Now let's save this file and try to run this thing. You see this beautiful cat came in here. Okay, let's close this. Now we don't need this. Okay, now you see this cat came here, right? So if I hover over it, I will put a mouse pointer on it, so it will give me this cute cat that I just wrote right in the title. So whenever you want to, why is this important? Why is this hovering important? So for example, if there is a case that our image did not load, and where is the text that I wrote, right? Image not available, right? That didn't came as well, right? So somehow if I was not able to I was not able to load this image, or there was an error loading it, right? Let's remove this thing, so this image will not be loaded, right? So this alternative text will come up in here and says image not available. And also if you want to give a user a message that what was this image actually, you can put it in a title, and when you hover over it, it will also give you a cute cat was there. You can be more specific that this was this kind of a cat, or this was this kind of a dog, right? You can use that as well. Now let's save this and now go back to this thing, right? I will refresh it. You see image not available, and when you hover over this, it will say a cute cat. You see, all adding up to what? Making your web page more interactive and making it more informative. Okay, this is the thing. These are some attributes. Basically there are many elements. I will also go back to that thing. Okay, this thing is covered. So list tags and these two tags are covered. Now what are div and span tags? Okay, basically both of these tags are used to group different tags. For example, now these are all tags that I have written on this right now. I have written all these tags, right? So is there a way I can group these tags together in a single tag? Yes, div tag is one of the way, and span tag is another way, right? It will act as a container. It's effective while styling. So when we will study about all those things, right? Maybe CSS, a little bit of CSS when we study. So at that time, it's very important. Then we will use, for example, we will use these. I want the background of all the OL tags, that is unordered list tags. I want the background of all those things, and including the paragraph above it. I want the background of those black or blue or gray, right? Div tag comes in there. So we are not covering styling in this session. So basically these will act as a container. What do you mean by container? You will put your things on in that container, right? Herein we will put our tags in that container. Okay, cool. So this is the difference. And another difference is that span acts as a similar in a similar fashion, but we already checked span is a inline element, and div is a block level element. Cool. Then I already covered this image tag, right? And then there is an anchor tag, right? Wherein you will get to, for example, if you're referring to some page, right? Or you want that page to be referred, or you want that page to be linked in your HTML file. How will you do that? Basically nothing. You just have to do, just go into this and then use what, anchor tag, which will give you a reference, and then you will write HTTPS, right, HTTP, then / and then let's say www.google.com. okay, then the text which will show, I will just refer to this, go to Google. Okay, go to Google. That's it. Now when I save this file, I'm basically adding some links. It can be something which has been created by you, or it can be something, you see, these two things came in the same line, right? The image tag and the anchor tag, because these are both inline. When I pressed on Google, it will just give me a page which refers to the Google, right? The Google is, you can also use an attribute which makes it open in a new tab. Okay, you can use that as well. Okay, cool. So this is all about tags. Okay, now what are the attributes? Now we have used some attributes, right? If you can see in the image tag, we wrote alt, right, which gave us the alternative text if the image is not loaded. It also gave us the title, right, the title thing, right, which represents the name of that thing, right, the cute cat which hovered over it, right. Similarly, there are some attributes which we can use. For example, what is the syntax of these attributes? Basically name and then the value. What do you mean by this thing? We wrote the alt thing, then we gave it a value, right? Alt, the name of the new the alternative text, right? We use this thing. So this is the attribute syntax of the attribute. Now there are some attributes which are global. What do you mean by this thing? Basically you can add these attributes to anything, right? The style attribute is there, right? If you add any one of the, let me show you what do you mean by global. For example, if you add a style on this paragraph, you just have to write style, right, and then give it maybe a background. Okay, just 1 minute. Let's give it a background, setting a background property. Okay, then let's say red. Let's say red. Okay, let's set this thing, save this thing file, save the file, and then when we run this thing, you see the background has been set it. So this style tag can be applied to any tag which is present in HTML. Okay, so how many tags are there and how many attributes are there, I will cover it in the end. So basically how to look for something which I have not covered in this session. There are about 100 elements in HTML, right? Basically we only use in a development maybe around 15 to 20, that's it. And also there are many attributes, right? There are many attributes in our probably around 1000 attributes, wherein these are applied maybe to some are applied to unordered list, some are applied to images only. So all those attributes, if you come across something which you haven't used, right, so you can use how to find that thing, you can also use that thing. Okay, Sarji, and session time, end class sessions time. Yeah, just give me 5 more minutes. I will just wrap up this thing, and where you can look, for example, if I haven't covered some attribute or some element, where to look for that, right? I will give you a quick tool also, which is very important through all around the software development world. Okay, so image tag, we covered source. We can also set width to our image, right? These are all attributes. Anchor tag, we refer to href, right? So this href, the link that will be displayed in here will be the link of the file that you want to refer, or the website that you want to refer. For example, I wrote www.google.com, right? I referred to Google, then the name that go to the link was also used, right? So these are all attributes. Now we have come up, this is the end of the session, but before ending this session, I want some important things that I want you to cover. For example, you are searching for something that I haven't covered. So there is a developer network, Mozilla developer network. In that, you can easily find the things that you want. Okay, so let me put in this way. For example, I wrote HTML elements, right? Then you will just write mdn, that's it. the Mozilla Developer Network. It is used through all across the software development world, and it will give you these things. What are the elements, right? What are the elements? What are they used for? A little bit of reference as well. So HTML is the 6 levels of sections, right? We cover those things. There is many more, right? Many more which are not being used. Figure, I haven't used it so far in my life. So maybe if there's a requirement in your website, you can refer to this. There are around probably 100 elements. Only 15 to 20 of them will be used more often, and that's it. Okay, so this is all about what HTML elements. Now what about the attributes? So again, you will write what HTML attributes, right? And then you will write MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, and this will give you a reference of HTML. I will show you how to use this. For example, we implemented what HR tag. So let's see what are the other attributes that can be applied on that HR tag. Let me show you. So let's see the HR tag. So maybe we can also use another tag, different. So what is the main objective here? So basically, the first column will represent the attribute name which you can apply on the element. For example, except can be applied on what? Okay, Arbaj, okay, I will not wrap up it quickly. Okay, don't worry, Arbaj. So basically, I'm trying to show how you can, for example, if you want something, for example, if you want, if you want to search for something, for example, if you came across something that I haven't covered, some attribute or maybe some element, right, where to look at. Okay, so this is the element where you can apply it on. You can apply it on form or an input. Okay, similarly, if this is an this is an image tag, right? This align can be applied on an image. So let me go ahead and quickly align this thing. Okay, let me show you how it's done. Okay, so image is there. Now let's use the align attribute. You will write align, and the alt is covered, right? So you will write align, right? And then let's put a center. So this is basically aligning this image. So earlier it came on the left hand side. Now let's save this file and I'd like to run this thing. Okay, the align property, how does it work? Specifies the horizontal alignment of the element. Okay, horizontal alignment makes sense. Okay, so let me put something which is more descriptive. Okay, let's put a color in that HR tag. So you see this horizontal line, right? Right, you see this horizontal line on your screen, right? Now let's try to change its color. Okay, let's try to change its color. Let me show you how we will change its color. So you will go into the Sublime Text and then we will find our HR tag. Here is it. Okay, now let's put a color in it. Color, let's suppose, what is the color? Equal to red. Let's save this thing. Now we will see the changes. You see, earlier it was black. Now when I run this thing, the horizontal line got changed. Okay, so this is how you look for something and then apply it. Okay, this is all about applying it. It's not about remembering 100 elements. No one will remember it, and nobody is going to ask those things, right? But you should know, you should be able to find where to find and how to imply it. So the Mozilla Developer Network, you can search the HTML elements and the attributes, and that's it. There is nothing more than this thing that I've covered in this session about HTML. Everything is after this is implement based, so you can implement all those things. That's it. Okay, guys. So that's it from this session. Thank you. So if you have any questions, you can just put it in the chat section. So that's it. Okay, so this was all about this session. I told you all those things that you have covered in this session, right? So thank you guys, thank you so much. I'm waiting for the questions. If you want to have, I have covered a lot. Every question has been covered. Is it a live session? Yes, it is a live session and it has already ended. Total how many sessions are okay? Sir, what about the assignment? I will ask someone from the team to get back to you. Okay, you just put a comment after the session has been uploaded. Just put a comment in the comment section so that my team will get back to you. Okay, Mansi. Total how many sessions are there about HTML? If you want, if you guys can want in the head section, sir, align tag can use in head section. Yes, you can just refer to that page easily. Sir, can we get a job by learning HTML and CSS? So basically, you won't be able to get a job only on HTML and CSS, right? So basically, HTML is something that will something that you will something that you will be covering the structure of the page and the CSS part, right, wherein you will style that thing. So based on that, you won't be able to get a job, but if you include this HTML and CSS maybe with JavaScript or React, so you will definitely get a good job. Priya. Muskan Sharma says, sir, take a session on React. Yeah, we are working on that. Soon it will be covered, and in the coming days I will be taking a session on JavaScript as well. You guys can check that as well. Okay guys, thank you so much. Okay, Priya says, can you suggest which is best, React or JavaScript? Basically, right now, React is nothing but a library of JavaScript, right? So React is nothing but a JavaScript library. So if you have covered HTML and CSS, so maybe you can go easily on JavaScript, right? So basically, JavaScript will cover all your all your things will be covered, right? You can add HTML, CSS, and all those things. After that, maybe what you can do, you can learn JavaScript and you can get easily, you will be able to find some jobs, right? And after that you can easily switch to React because it's a JavaScript library, and most of the things that we are going to use in React are based on JavaScript, so easily. Thank you Muskan, thank you Richa, thank you Preeti, thank you Tanuja. You guys can also check in the, I mean to say, what the GL Academy, right? In that we have many courses available. Okay, you guys can check that as well. Okay, thank you so much guys, thank you.